Chelsea earned their second defeat of pre-season with a 1-0 loss to a very well-drilled, low-blocking Juventus team. So albeit there's not a huge amount to write home about in the way of the Chelsea performance, let's take a little look at the winners and losers of today's match. Welcome, Blue Believers, to another episode of the Stamford Sync, where we are syncing up with everything Chelsea FC. And today, that means we're going to try and dissect what we can and pull some winners and losers out of today's game, which was quite a boring affair, but it's pre-season and it felt very much like a pre-season game. But before we get into the winners and losers, I just want to make mention of a couple of honourable mentions, right? Honourable mention number one, Danny Welbeck. Danny Welbeck got 45 minutes in a Chelsea shirt, and it was just kind of surreal, do you know what I mean? The journeyman Danny Welbeck, I never thought I would be seeing him play for us. I wouldn't really consider him to have been a winner or a loser in this game, which is why I've put him as an honourable mention. But he did show us, like, something that we've been missing with Liam Delap, right? And it's like link-up play, football in IQ. Like, he wasn't able to get anything away, but his link-up with João Pedro was really good, and he didn't look like a headless chicken. So fair play to Danny Welbeck for getting his first 45 minutes in a Chelsea shirt. Like I say, didn't exactly set the world alight, but at the same time, I'm still really happy we've got him in the squad. Second honourable mention is Mike Penders, right? Mike Penders also got his first 45 minutes in a Chelsea shirt. Not a winner or a loser for me, but there was just something instantly notable for me about the way that our backline started playing as soon as Mike Penders came onto the pitch. So the obvious thing to note is the fact that we conceded with Mike Penders in goal, but mate, that goal was outrageous, man. It was, you know, not really much that he could have done about it. Fantastic shot from the Juve player, I forget his name, but you know, I'm not necessarily going to put him in the losers because we conceded a goal. If anything, I think that goal was probably conceded because we literally just brought like 6 more players on the pitch. But what Mike Penders did offer today is something that Sanchez absolutely doesn't offer. He made himself available as a passing option for his centre-backs, right? And not only that, like little swerve passes out to the fullback and stuff, instantly we looked more comfortable in possession in the defensive half of the pitch with Mike Penders on within minutes. And it's interesting because I actually noted in the first half, in the first 20 minutes before the hydration break, we barely passed back to Robert Sanchez at all, and most times that we did throughout the whole of the first half, he was just lumping it up the field, do you know what I mean, long balls. So, you know, they didn't really consider Robert Sanchez to be that passing option, but as soon as Mike Penders is there, he's not only available, he's asking for the ball, do you know what I mean? So obviously he's really comfortable in that respect. A couple of saves as well from Mike Penders. Like I say, not an amazing performance, and obviously conceding the goal brought his rating down. I'm going to be looking at some of the SofaScore ratings here, but at the end of the day, like I say, not a winner or a loser, but just something I thought worth noting about Mike Penders is that it looks like we're going to play a different way, and he looks more confident and assured playing that passing game, and I think that Xabi Alonso is probably going to like that. Whether his shot stopping and his overall goalkeeping play is good enough, we are yet to find out, but I thought it was a promising start. And guys, if you've made it this far into today's episode of the Stamford Sync, please do me the distinct honour of liking and sharing the video, subscribe to the channel, or just roast me in the comments, whatever gets you through your day. Right, so without any further ado, let's have a little look at the winners and losers of this game. So we'll start with the winners, and for me, Moises Caicedo was easily the best player on the pitch today. We've missed him, haven't we? It's weird because it's only pre-season or whatever, but obviously just after having watched, you know, Academy Kids and, you know, Estevao and Lavia in pre-season and midfield so far, it's just so evident the absolutely massive cavernous gap that there is in quality between Moises Caicedo and every single other midfielder that we have, which is a problem, right? It's not a problem for Moises Caicedo because he looked fantastic when he came on. He was all over the place, man. He was wearing the captain's armband. He was astute. He was assured. He was winning the ball. He was even like making lovely passes from deep. There was one pass to Palestra from deep that put Palestra on goal. He definitely should have passed it. But either way, Caicedo was starting attacks, he was winning the ball, he was everywhere, and it was just such a massive difference from watching the last few games. And I get it, we're talking about Academy Kids, but when you like really here, I'm comparing him to the rest of our more senior midfielders that we've got. And like I say, the dearth in quality is absolutely wild. The gap is cavernous. Moises Caicedo is such a phenomenal player. And you can instantly see, even with a very young midfielder next to him, who we're going to get into in a little bit, our midfield looked so much better when Moises Caicedo was on there. So for me, easily, Moises Caicedo, best player on the pitch for me today, and deserved first recipient of winner status in today's video. Right, so that takes us on to the losers, and I've cheated a little bit with the losers because I've bundled two together. Dario Essigo and Romeo Lavia, for me, were losers from today's game, and that is before they even got on the pitch, before a ball was even kicked. And that is because Moises Caicedo was partnered by a 16-year-old Nicole Jazouli, right? So, look, I know it's pre-season, and, you know, people are getting tested out and stuff, but we had a fairly strong lineup going out, right? There wasn't much in the way of academy players. Actually, no other academy players in the starting lineup other than Jazouli. We had young players. There was, you know, Kenda got his first start. Maybe another honourable mention in Kenda there. He didn't make anything happen, but he looked promising. But, you know, there's you know, he's just come back from injury. There's a bit of time to go with Kenda. But back to the midfield thing, there was no other academy players in the team, and neither Dario Asugo or Romeo Lavia were trusted to start the game. I say trusted again, it's preseason. Maybe that's the wrong thing to say. But it wasn't even that, right? And this is a bit of a spoiler because Jazouli's going to be the next winner. But Jazouli got 60 minutes, and that is bearing in mind that 4 subs were made at half-time as well. So Xabi Alonso looks like he's not seeing what he wants to see from our auxiliary midfielders at the moment. Now, we've still got Hendo and Barco to come back. Reece James, obviously, is going to be an option there as well. Potentially, we're going in for someone new. But it's just not promising, is it? It's just not promising when Moises Caicedo obviously gets the start because he's the best midfielder on the pitch. And instead of choosing either Asugo or Lavia, he goes for the 16-year-old academy player, who he also brought on in the second half of the Tottenham game, I think it was as well. But either way, it just doesn't look good for Asugo and Lavia. And then we can actually talk about what happened when they came on the pitch. I thought Lavia looked okay in parts. Like, he's always looking to make that killer pass through the middle, and I absolutely love that. We haven't really got anyone else who, you know, just sort of goes for that killer pass all the time. But Asugo looks a little bit like a headless chicken as well. Like, between the two of them, like, what's the sofa score ratings, actually? I've got it all here. I mean, 7.2 for Dario Asugo, which actually was one of the highest on the pitch. Romeo Lavia a 6.7, and he got himself a yellow card as well. Jazouli got himself a 7.3 as well. So Jazouli outperformed both of those guys who are supposed to be seniors at the end of the day. Like, we can talk about Lavia's injury worries, and we can talk about the fact that Asugo is an injury-ridden player as well because he spent most of last season out. But Jazouli's a 16-year-old academy player, do you know what I mean? So I just think it speaks volumes that our auxiliary midfielders, albeit not necessarily the starters that we're looking at, but they've both been outplayed by a 16-year-old 2 games in a row. It's not good, man. And we're talking about closer to proper opposition now as well. Do you know what I mean? With Tottenham and Juventus, obviously lots of rotation. Do you know what I mean? Tottenham put out a fairly strong team, to be fair. But for me, Dario Asugo and Romeo Lavia are not doing enough at the moment to show that they deserve to stay. I think Essigo's got more of a chance because he's more naturally that Caicedo replacement. Lavia obviously was linked to Monaco. And it's not necessarily about even what we're seeing on the pitch. Like I say, it's the narrative surrounding it. This Jazouli kid is getting minutes in pre-season over these guys at the moment. And you would have thought that these are the kind of more precious moments in the bigger pre-season games, right? We're not talking about Crawley or Bromley or Sydney Western Wanderers or Western Sydney Wanderers, sorry. We're talking about Tottenham and Juventus. And yes, it's still pre-season, but these are bigger teams. So, as I've already spoiled it, we'll move on to the next winner. And for me, that is Nicole Jazouli, 16 years old, and has been trusted to get 60 minutes in today's game to start alongside Moises Caicedo, linking up with the likes of João Pedro. He started a little bit wobbly at the beginning, but he really built into the game. And I'll be interested to see if I feel like he's going to be, you know, like Reggie Walsh was for us last season. He's not going to play all of the time, obviously, but he seems to be already a favourite from the manager in terms of, like, you know, the academy midfielders. I think he's doing a really good job. He seems to play a little bit beyond his years, to be completely honest. And albeit no one set the world on fire today, I'm impressed with his performance. And like I say, I think, you know, when you think about the likes of Reggie Walsh and Genesis Antwi and Ryan Kavuma-McQueen are all either on or going to go out on loan, we're probably going to replace that little crop with some new academy guys, and I expect to see Jazouli potentially get some cursory minutes throughout the season. So moving on to the next loser. It's a little bit harsh, but it's Jamie Gittens, right? And Jamie Gittens, so per SofaScore, got the second worst rating, or joint second worst rating, with Mike Penders and Josh Acheampong in the squad today with a 6.3. And the only reason I say that he's a loser for this, that sounds savage, doesn't it? But he loses out in this respect, is because he's done so well in pre-season so far. 4 GA in 4 games so far. 3 goals and an assist, but he looked like he struggled today, and he came up against more proper opposition at the end of the day. Albeit he played all right against Tottenham, he just didn't look as on it today. Maybe there's a little bit of tiredness already because he's been training since the beginning, obviously, because he came back from injury. He's played in all of the pre-season games so far, so maybe this was it looked just a little bit lacklustre from Jamie Gittens. And the thing is, some of these are going to be harsh because there's not much to pull from at the end of the day. We weren't absolutely battered. It wasn't a horrible performance. It was a stodgy low block from Juventus. that was won with a moment of sheer quality. Do you know what I mean? The strike was unbelievable. So I put Jamie Gittens in the losers today, not necessarily because he was awful, albeit he was rated quite low. I put him there because he's failed to capitalise on what's been a good run of form for him thus far. Albeit, I do think Jamie Gittens has looked a lot better than what we saw last season already. So this isn't a stick to beat him with, and this isn't even necessarily me saying, oh, Jamie Gittens is going to be rubbish. It's not that at all. Just looking at the game where there is not really much to choose from, and Jamie Gittens failing to capitalise on his good form so far without getting a goal or an assist in this game puts him in the loser category for me. Back onto winners, and Estevao Willian, right? Look, I was tempted to put Kenda in here, but the truth is when Estevao came on, he just looks like... Estevao just looks like one of the most dangerous players on the pitch all of the time, doesn't he? And I said basically the same thing on my last episode of Winners and Losers. Estevao Willian, just especially when a lot of the other guys went off, and Estevao was one of the... because he came on at half-time for Giovanni Kenda. But then especially on the 60th minute when the rest of the guys went off, it looked like we weren't going to do anything for a lot of the time unless it was coming through... Estevao Willian. I'll be interested to see if he does ever get a chance to play in the centre of attack. I found it interesting that when Liam Delap was brought on, Nicholas Jackson was moved into the centre of attack, and when Nicholas Jackson went off of Mykhailo Mudryk, which we're going to get into in a minute, Dastan Satpayev went in the centre. So I don't know if maybe Alonso sees Estevao Willian as a right-sided player, but I would really love to see a little bit more of what he could do in the centre when he's got a bit more room to control and be a bit of a menace. But either way, Estevao Willian just, especially when everyone else went off, he just looked like our most dangerous player on the pitch. Like the free kick he took was really good. Like he's tearing up defenders down that right-hand side. He's trying to do little 1-2s. He's trying to be thoughtful and imaginative and dangerous, and I just think that he looks like he's ready to kick on this season, right? Because he was really impressive last season, albeit his first season in the country. You know, he played a lot of football the season before with Palmeiras, like 70-odd games, do you know what I mean? So, you know, that led to eventual injury issues, and he was out for quite a long time towards the end of the season. And we used him relatively sparingly, but he obviously had that performance against Barcelona that was just unbelievable. I just feel like we're ready to kick on with Estevao Willian now, and the attacking spots, there's going to be a lot of competition there. It's going to be really interesting. Right, so moving on to the next loser. it's just Liam Delap, man. Liam Delap, look. I was going to say that almost like I was going to defend him. It's just like I just am seeing absolutely nothing from Liam Delap, and I don't know if he's playing within himself because he knows he's on his way out. But at the same time, it's like, you're in pre-season, man. It's like, you're still a professional footballer, do you know what I mean? But I just don't see anything. Like, even Danny Welbeck, who also didn't score, showed a lot more of a better team play, essentially. Like I say, linking up with people and not always just looking to get the ball himself and stuff. Liam Delap does things like he'll get the ball and he'll find himself stranded out on the right, and you can see the cogs whirring in his head, and he's just like, I don't know what to do here. I don't know if it's just a system thing. Like, I've just have this feeling that Liam Delap will play a lot better in a system that is more suited for him. I genuinely believe that. But at the same time, I just saw nothing today. And I'm almost surprised that he's still getting minutes at this point. Like, Dastan Satpayev should be getting these minutes, maybe. I'm not really sure. I mean, at the end of the day, like, João Pedro had to play in the 10 today because Cole Palmer was out and Morgan Rogers isn't here yet. So this is probably going to be less of a problem once we've got our full team together. And maybe that's when we're going to look at pushing Liam Delap onto whether it be Newcastle, Everton, Nottingham Forest. Loads of teams have been linked with him. But yeah, I just saw nothing again today. He's clattering into people. He hasn't got very much finesse on the ball. It's just a difficult one with Liam Delap, man, because I just don't think we're the right team for him. I think Ipswich showed that if you get him and play to his strengths, then he can get goals. Do you know what I mean? But you've got to play to his strengths, and we absolutely don't do that. When you look at the rest, like he was outplayed today by Dastan Satpayev, he was outplayed by Nicholas Jackson, and obviously he was outplayed by João Pedro, and he was and Danny Welbeck as well. Like, all of the other four potential strikers that we've got all looked better than him today. So moving on to the last winner of today, and it's Mykhailo Mudryk. And it's just for the feeling, man, like, mate, he got, 10 minutes at the end, and Nicholas Jackson was brought off. But Nicholas Jackson played okay. Like, maybe that should have been another honourable mention as well. I'll refine this format as I'm going. I'm still working it out. But for me, Mykhailo Mudryk, not necessarily because of what he did on the pitch, but just because of the good feeling that came, like, that just filled the stadium when he came on. I could feel it from all the way over here, do you know what I mean? Massive cheers when he comes on. It panned to the bench and everyone was clapping him. The staff and the players were really pleased to see him back. Every single touch, every single time he got the ball, every single time he made a pass, like, he was getting massive cheers from the crowd. They were singing his name. And look, And I'm sticking to, where I'm at with Mudryk as a player. I think there's a lot of revisionism about Mudryk, and maybe that's because when he does something right, it's more aesthetically pleasing, when Garnacho did, for instance. But he was arguably worse than Garnacho in terms of output, right, in his one full season for us that he actually ever played. So, look, playing aside, and because he lost the ball in a moment, but he did make a really good cross at one moment. He's really rusty. Hasn't 615 days ago was the last time he played football. So I'm not out here judging Mudryk's performance at all. I'm putting him in the winner's slot today because it was just a nice moment. It felt nice. You could really feel it. Like, the crowd were really, really, really supportive. The teammates were really, really supportive. And after what he's been through, it's just a good story, isn't it? It's like a redemption arc. He's got an opportunity to start playing football again. Chelsea have really supported him. I do still think he'll go on loan. By the sounds of it, it's going to be to Strasbourg, but not necessarily for anything that happened on the pitch today. But Mykhailo Mudryk must have been absolutely delighted to step back onto the pitch and play even a pre-season game. It's not like a competitive game, but to play professional football against a big team with, a lot of good feeling around the squad at the moment as well. When you think about where we've come from, he's kind of skipped over all of the horrible Blueco out stuff, and he's come back into a team at a really good time where everything's feeling good, and just enhance that and increase that. So fair play to Mykhailo Mudryk. I'm not sure he's going to get loads of minutes during pre-season, if I'm completely honest, especially with getting more and more people back. Do you know what I mean? Like I say, we've got Morgan Rogers to come soon. So that's going to push Jamie Gittens down, Dastan Satpayev down, and inevitably Mykhailo Mudryk down as well. And then the last loser of the day, again, not necessarily because he did anything horrible in this match, but I'm going to give it to Josh Acheampong, and that's because Josh Acheampong has not looked on it in this preseason at all, and I don't really know why, to be completely honest. Maybe it's just taken a little while to warm up, but it's not like he's been away playing at the World Cup or tournaments or anything. He didn't have loads of minutes or loads of injuries or anything like that last season, so it's not like he's coming back from anything big. It does just seem like he's struggling at the moment to get a foothold in the game. Do you know what I mean? Where, he's getting played at centre-back, which is what he wants at the end of the day. There was all this noise coming out when we had Maresca, and I think even with Liam Rosinia, when Josh Acheampong was like, I want to be playing centre-back or I'm going to look to go somewhere else. And it's like, right, okay, because he was getting played at right-back, and now he's getting played at centre-back, and mate, it's like your competition is Tosin Adarabioyo at the moment. Do you know what I mean? And Wesley Fofana, to be fair, who had a reasonably good game. Not amazing, not terrible, just, a good average performance. But Josh Acheampong is not at the moment in pre-season, which is a massive moment for, why isn't he starting this game? Do you know what I mean? Why are we starting Tosin in this game when, although keep it locked, I'm going to do a news video later tonight, when Fabrizio Romano is saying that he thinks Tosin is going to leave, but Alonso is starting Tosin over Josh Acheampong. That is because Josh Acheampong has not shown that he is worth giving those minutes to at the moment. He didn't even come on at half-time, do you know what I mean? He came on the 65th minute. So look, I worry about Josh Acheampong, and more, albeit he was listed as an untouchable, I still think we won't sell him, but more and more I'm starting to think maybe the best thing to do with him is to get him out on loan, to give him that Levi Colwill to Brighton style loan, where he's not in a team that is trying to take themselves from 10th to 4th with loads of pressure. He can go and play at a Brighton, at a Crystal Palace, somewhere where he's, got a good chance of getting into the team, because he is a really talented player, and we saw that last season. But at the moment, I just think Josh Acheampong's not doing a huge amount to ingratiate himself to the manager in terms of getting him in his thoughts to put him in the team. And we all want to see Josh Acheampong get minutes, don't we, at the end of the day? So look, I've been harsh today because it was a 1-0 draw and it was a boring game, to be completely honest. So I've really kind of had to pick at things. But it's just because I'm working on this, so it's all squeaky clean by the end of the season. But yeah, just to wrap up, my winners today are Moises Caicedo, Mardi, Nicole, Jazouli, Estevao, Willian and Mykhailo Mudryk. My losers are a combination of Essigo and Lavia, essentially the auxiliary midfield, Jamie Gittens, Liam Delap and Josh Acheampong. Guys, let me know what you think about all of these in the comments. Have I been too harsh? Are there winners or losers that you would have put in there instead? Let me know what you think. I can't wait to chat with you about it. Nice one, guys. I'm going to start wrapping the video up there, but keep it locked because I will be releasing a news video later today as well, because there is still loads of stuff going on. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of Winners or Losers. I'll catch up with you all very, very soon. Take it easy. Peace.